Everybody has a story to tell, man. You know, we all have a story. We all have a story that we can tell. And sometimes it feels like we have to lie. Or sometimes it feels like we can't tell the whole story until we've passed the embarrassing parts of the story, or the parts that we're not proud of, or the parts we're ashamed of. Those parts of the story are the stories that we omit while we're currently telling the story. And then once we pass these points in our story, then we can talk about them with all the glory and all of the, oh man, it was so hard and I struggled so bad. But while it's embarrassing you, while it's undesirable, that's when it's the hardest to tell. But I think that part of the story, the current part, the part where you're in it and you're in the thick of it and it sucks and it's not fun and it feels terrible and you're not sure if you're gonna make it, those are the parts of the story that people relate to. You know, it's cool to be able to reflect back and look back and tell those parts of the story once you've made it through and overcome. But it hits a little bit differently when you're in it and you're currently going through those parts of your story. There's no need to omit the story. Like there's certain things that are embarrassing, but they're only embarrassing because you've allowed yourself to believe that nobody else in this world is going through something very similar, or that everyone else seems to have it figured out and you don't. Don't omit your story. This is what's going to create something that can last a lifetime, is by telling your story and creating a story that is honest, genuine, true to who you are and true to what's actually going on in your life. That's what people want to see. They don't want to see the glory and the highlights. They want to see the raw, uncut version of your story. And we forget that. And that leads us into fear and being afraid of showing up authentically. You know, we want it also keeps us from learning new things, because we have to uphold this idea that we got it figured out and and it's only the highlights, and you know, you can't learn what you can't learn what you're not willing to learn. Get what I'm saying? If you put up the ruse and the guise that you have it figured out, then that would mean that there's nothing left for you to figure out, right? And that will stifle your growth, because you're only going to put yourself in a position where you have to uphold this phony idea that you got it figured out, and you become afraid to ever not have it figured out. And that fear will paralyze you and keep you from ever doing anything of any real significance in your life. And then you'll look back and say, wow, there's so many skills that I could have acquired, so many different lessons that I could have learned in this life if I only would have been okay with not only where I am currently, but making mistakes and not knowing what's going on or having it figured out. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter how old you are. You know, sometimes we're embarrassed that we're at a certain age and we don't have certain things done, or we haven't learned particular skills at a certain age. Oh well, this is life, you know, and God willing that you live a long one, you have time still to figure those things out. So I don't know, man. You have to tell your story, how it happened, even while it's currently happening. And that is the hardest part, because when it's currently happening, you might be in a place that's just not the best. And you have to understand that is what connects with other human beings. That's what gives people hope and inspiration and motivation. Not saying a bunch of nice words all the time. People want to know, like, that on a human to human level we can connect, and I can understand that you are me and I am you, and we are both experiencing this thing that we call life, and we're both trying to figure out this thing called life. That's the true human connection. So again, don't omit your story. Be okay with where you are and be willing to share that part of your story. This is something that I struggle with terribly, because a lot of times, man, I still get ashamed and embarrassed by what I haven't accomplished or where I'm not in my life, you know? But I know that my only way forward is to be okay with the idea that I don't know a lot of things, and that at this point in my life, I still have a lot to learn. So yeah, remember this. Don't omit it. Just tell it how it is, you know? Appreciate you watching once again. Peace.